Hey, I'm Brandon with BrandonToksMovies here at HorrorFest International, and I'm here with the genius, Mike Caravela. We just had the world premiere of his new film, Astral Plane Drifter, last night, and it was awesome. So I'm glad you were able to bring it. Mike, first question. Tell us about what drugs were you on to come up with this film? Tell us about the kind of like the beginnings of the Drifter.
Yeah, so to answer the first question, it's completely sense memory at this point. I'm getting too old to imbibe like that anymore, but I'm an actor and trained in sense memory, so I can recall on all those visionary moments in life.
Yeah.
It's been a wild journey. So 2020 during COVID, I'm a professional actor. Everything's shut down. I'm sitting home waiting for the world to start up again. Decided to be creative. I want to do something experimental, something different. So I write a short film in about a week. 3 weeks later, we shoot it. 3 weeks after I start submitting it to film festivals. 4 weeks after that, we win our first film festival. So from November 1st, 2020, I have an idea, to January 31st, 2021, we already won a film festival. Year and a half goes by. We play film festivals all over the country. We win awards in 8 different genres. So I affectionately call it a Western sci-fi kung fu comedy, but we won horror awards. We won experimental, psychedelic, fantasy. So it's just this thing took off in a way I never expected. I just wanted to do something fun for me, and I think that fun just resonated with people. It was just jumping off the screen, and people really gravitated to it. So I thought I had a pretty good idea. So I wrote a script, a feature-length script. It was more money than I could raise right away. It was a bigger budget, so I wrote another one. I wrote a completely second script that was budget conscious, and took me about a year to raise that money independently. Mm-hmm. And then we shot this thing in Christmas time last year, 2023. And here we are at the world premiere 9 months later after just finishing principal. So it's been a wild 3-year journey of just like when I actually had an idea to make a movie to now I've made the short, I did a festival run, I raised money, I made a movie, it's already playing in film festivals, we made our world premiere. Yeah. So it's been pretty busy.
Tell me about some of the influences, because, watching it, you can see that this wears its influences on its sleeve. And I think that some people may watch it and get a certain idea about it without knowing its influences. So why don't you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I have millions of different influences. So, and they're important to me in my life. I'm a cinephile. I've watched tens of thousands of movies. There's everything in there. So like, obviously, you're gonna see right on the surface. There's Cheech and Chong is there. There's a lot of 1950s atomic age sci-fi in there. There's actually a lot of 1960s Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, 1960s Planet of the Apes. Those are all major influences. Sergio Leone. I know this sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but somehow we make it all work together. So Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns. There's like movie like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I love that movie. So that's an influence on me. A lot of the 80s stuff. I love that stuff. Kung Fu, like Shaw Brothers, Cheng Che, that stuff. So it's all stuff that I grew up, and like it all just sits in my head. And somehow, I don't know how, but somehow I made that all come into a... to me, the major accomplishment is that I have this wild movie, and it actually has a story, and it all comes together. Yeah. So, yeah.
So as someone, I'm a huge fan of The Short. Yeah. Saw it 3 years ago. And so I've been eagerly anticipating this feature, and I loved it. Tell me about the process of taking a short, because you kind of have that piece of the short kind of inserted into this. Right. Tell me about the process of how you take that short and kind of, what was it like kind of fitting it into now this larger feature?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more of a challenge than it actually was. I actually shied away because the short, we shot it during COVID, so it was really small. There's just me and 2 other actors, and I only had a crew of 4 people, and we went out to like the expansive desert. So it worked for the 10-minute short, but I had no idea how I was going to make that into a 90-minute film. That's why I wrote the first script, which is kind of a prequel. Not really a prequel. It's more of like just what happens a couple of days before. So it's kind of in a different time and space than the short. But when I committed to actually film, I thought it was going to be really, really challenging to write this thing out. But I had a bunch of pieces of ideas in my head for different set pieces. And I just wanted to find a way to make those all fit. So I definitely had 3 or 4 base comedic set pieces in my head that I wanted to use somewhere, and I just took those pieces and so I tried to fit them together and see how I can make the world exist and get a through line. And I think I did. I think I made it work.
I totally.
Yeah.
Tell me about, you talked about your production design and your production design team yesterday in the Q&A. One of the things I love about this is how much of the kind of like B-movie kind of like cheap Flash Gordon look it has, and that when I talk about wearing its influences on its sleeve, I think that the production design fits this movie perfectly, like perfectly. Tell me about how you kind of envisioned those and how you communicated that to your production design.
Yeah, so I mean that's went in hand with me writing a lower budget movie that we can make right away. So I love all those movies, and I know there's a lot of money spent these days on a lot of high production. But the story and this character, they really fit in this world where like the B-movie stuff from the old days really fits the theme here. So not getting too crazy, spending money on a lot of high production and so that was a conscious decision and worked into the script. Yeah. So, and yeah, I think it really worked for us. So not only did it make it doable for us to make this movie right away because we didn't have large production, because I spoke to a lot of different people and they want to come in and do prosthetics and do other stuff. And I was like, no, we really need to be like living in 1960s Star Trek world. I think that really fits, and it fits the comedic tone of the whole thing. It's a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, it's comedy. Yeah. So I do feel like I don't want to say cheesy. I want to say campy. It's like a campy feel to it that and that worked for us on a budgetary scale as well. So I basically gave them the themes of like, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, 1960s Star Trek, Robot Monster from the 1950s. I gave them these ideas and these concepts, and they went home and they did their homework and they grabbed onto it and they really made it come to life. And
I love that.
Yeah.
So first, we probably should have asked this question first. Why don't you give a kind of like a brief synopsis of what this movie is? Because I think when people see Astral Plane Drifter, they go, okay, all right, and then they see, 70s kung fu sci-fi western. Give us a little bit of a synopsis of Astral Plane Drifter.
It's a funny thing. Like I've spent 3 years of my life writing a short and 3 features now because I have 2 more features written. I still don't know how to give a synopsis. It's a wild movie. It's many different things, but at the end of the day, it's a character arc. It's a story driven by a character, and he's a chivalrous character in a stoner type of way. So what's been really cool is we've gotten a couple of reviews already, and so far what we've heard is the dude, which is great. I mean, being compared to the Big Lebowski is unbelievable. Like, that's mind-blowing for me. So he's kind of got that easy breezy style of the dude, but he does have a little, and he's a little bit weird in his ways. He's on his journey, but he does have a chivalrous nature to him too. He wants to make right in the world at the end of the day. So we just follow along with this guy who's going through life, and he has an awakening, and that awakening, it leads him to a higher calling, and that's really the through line that's going on here.
Nice, and there's a lot of kind of lore hinted at in this. The order of the mofos and the wise one and all this stuff. You talked about having that all kind of. You already have this all scripted out. You have this all planned out. Do your future films? Are you planning to kind of dive into that lore and explain some of that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot more of that we're going to get into. So with this one that we made, I actually wrote one before it. So I had a story arc built in to feed this one. So I did some backstory in here. So there might be a couple of parts that maybe the words, if you listen to words, it's like, what does that mean? But like I have in mind other movies that I'm making that's going to feed into it. So eventually, and I'm hoping people watch this movie again and again, because I made this movie to be watched multiple times, like the old B movies, because you're going to pick up new stuff every time.
Sure. Like,
I can't even go on, I can't name all the influences, like you mentioned, there's Star Wars influence in this stuff. There's also, we've actually filmed some of the movie, like where they filmed Tatooine. Like, oh, really? Yeah. So there's
on the dunes.
Yeah. So we actually went out there, and I'm drifting out there on the dunes out in Tatooine. Yeah. there's so many different influences, so many different things, and it's all gonna come together. We're gonna explain all that stuff, but not get buried in like a backstory. It's still gonna be like one of the cool things that I've been hearing is that this thing is a ride. It just keeps going, and it's a tight 90 minutes. The pacing is good, and one thing happens after another after another. And I'm just always gonna keep that in mind and not get too bogged down in story, where it slows things down. So we're gonna give you story as we keep moving, And like I said, I have two more, and even though it's feeding the storyline, they're completely different genre sets than this one. So they live in different worlds. So even though I'm mashing up multiple genres, I'm mashing up multiple genres in different ways in the other movies. I'm not still feeding that one beast.
Yeah.
It's like the three movies are going to be completely different entities from each other.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. Tell me where, in closing here, tell me where you're taking this next. Where are we headed with the Drifter? Festivals, what are we doing?
Yeah. So we have more festivals. We're going to be doing a festival for a while. We have a pretty exciting festival coming up. Can't announce it yet, but that will be in a couple of weeks. I've been sworn to confidentiality because the festival hasn't announced yet. So that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So if you follow along on astralplanedrifter.com, we have all our news up there, the trailers up there, posters up there, stores up there. Everything's up there so you can feed. You got my social media links on there. So everything you need to know, I'll be constantly updating. So that'll be happening. But we're going to be on the festival circuit for probably about a year, unless something happens along the way where we can get it out in theaters. But I want to bring it to the people. I want to get it in theaters. I feel like the theater experience is important for this movie. And whatever way I can get in the theaters, I want to get it into festivals. And then if we can actually get somebody to give us a theatrical run, that'd be great. If not, right away, then maybe we just start doing our own road show. So I definitely want to bring it out to the people in movie theaters. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time pursuing that. Streaming will be at the end of the day because this movie's going to live on. I want people watching this thing in their house on a Friday night, like 1 in the morning. Maybe they've had, they've enjoyed themselves a little bit, eating some cold pizza. Like, let's put that crazy movie on. Let's watch that thing right now. So that's where this movie's going to live forever, I hope. And but I really want people to have the theater experience because I think it really blows this thing up to a different level when you're watching it in the theater.
I agree, and I'm looking forward to getting the chance to share this with people that I know, who I know are going to dig in. So once again, thank you for chatting with me. Thanks for bringing your film to HorrorFest, for premiering it here. We here at HorrorFest love the Drifter, so glad that you chose us to do that. So thank you. Looking forward to seeing more from the Drifter. Stay tuned for more from HorrorFest International.